All right, driving the culture forward. This is Hypebeast Radio. I'm your host, Ben Rosen.
Majel Stinney.
Today we are here with Andre Power, co-founder of Soulection Radio. Kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none, artist, creative. What else would you say you do? What else you put on the resume, on the business card?
Graphic design, photography, anything art related, I would say. I like to dabble in, to be honest, as we all should dabble.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Word. Thank you so much for finding some time, sitting down with us today. We kind of wanted to get a better idea of like the Soulection movement, kind of like get our hands into it a little bit, figure out a little bit more about it. So I guess we should start kind of at the beginning. How would you describe what Soulection does?
Soulection is many things. It's very hard to break down into one thing. Soulection is a record label. Soulection is events. Soulection is merch. And from all this, we created a culture behind music. Soulection is a radio show, worldwide collective of artists, friends, family, of all sorts.
It's like a brand, right? It's almost like
brand,
this all-encompassing like music startup, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. If I had to label it, I would say like a music tech startup, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's very hard to define. When we first started, it was only supposed to be the record label and the radio show. Over the course of time, we built up this roster of artists, we built up this roster of DJs, and here we are, maybe like 10 DJs strong around the world, about 15 artists worldwide, and events probably like once a week somewhere in the world, playing festivals. We had our own festival for the first time last year, and yeah, we're just definitely trying to keep growing everything we're doing.
And like you said, it's definitely like a worldwide thing, but where would you say like it kind of started? Because I remember reading something about like if you could tell us a little bit about like the early days, like the art in the park,
yeah,
like the genesis of it.
For sure. I moved to San Diego, California from the East Coast about 9 years ago, and when I first moved to San Diego, I was trying to get involved in the art community. Nobody really knew me, so I started throwing art shows out of my apartment. They kind of picked up. I got recognized by a lot of different venues and gallery owners and whatnot, but this one venue in particular I really rocked with. It was called Bluefoot in San Diego. I started an event there called Art in the Park. I had all the visual art down. That was like my thing back then, and I had this taste for music, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't a DJ, so I wasn't able to like just be like, yo, I'm gonna play this music. So I heard Joe K. Back then he had these mixes called Ill Vibes, and yeah, I hit him up. I was like, yo, I have this event in San Diego, are you down to come DJ? He was like, I'm down. I never DJ'd and I'm not 21, so we need to work it out. I was like, yo, just come, I got you, we'll figure it out. He came, he killed it. It was the perfect sound for this event, you know? And just from him coming down every month, I made him a resident. We just like connected. He was like, yo, I have this idea for this thing called Soulection, and I kind of want you to help me like start it, you know what I'm saying, and like make it happen. I was like, cool, I'm with it. Sounds fun. You know what I'm saying? And here we are, man. 7 years later.
And in that 7 years, it seems like a lot of what happened kind of went down on the internet. Like you said, it was worldwide, but
yeah,
like at the same time that you were establishing it in California, you guys had a pretty, like I would say that some of your first major success happened overseas.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely noticed that Europe is like super forward when it comes to music. You know what I'm saying? So for us, London, Amsterdam, or like, you know, Paris, they're like super forward when it comes to music, electronic music in particular. That's kind of like where we fall sometimes, you know, like we kind of fall in this like R&B, soul, electronic like range or whatever. So yeah, you know, like once we started popping in Europe, we kind of already had like LA and New York kind of buzzing, and yeah, we just like a matter of time before it spread to like a lot of the smaller countries and then cities around the world.
And it's pretty hard to get like a concrete roll call. Who all is involved? Is it loosely affiliated, or is it like you guys keep it?
Yeah, it is. So there's 5 of us that run the company pretty much like make the decisions, that kind of run the brand. We have about 10 DJs on a roster. And then as far as like artists, we have artists that are like Soulection, and we have a lot of artists that are very close family affiliated artists.
Right.
And those range like, like worldwide, like the level of tightness we have with them ranges, you know what I'm saying? So definitely a lot of affiliates for sure.
And when you were working in the early days, it seemed like it was kind of like you had these connections that you made with people. Like there's the low end theory was definitely part of it. It was also like Brain Feeder, which are these LA beat scenes.
For sure.
But then it must have been crazy to kind of go abroad and kind of go on tour with this thing and see that same vibe was resonating in Asia, for example. And like you guys started working with Taku at some point around then, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think Taku's release with us was like our second or third release, which was like,
How many of you guys put out now?
We're up to, I want to say 33.
Wow.
33 releases. It's all on our website. And it's funny because there are a lot of people who think we're just a radio show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that think we only throw parties, So when they really dig in to what we have, sometimes they're like surprised, So we have a lot of music out there for sure. I mean, for me, like I have a background in art and design. So once I started DJing and I started getting booked in these places, even today, it's still like very unreal. You know what I'm saying? Like for me to be doing this for like 4 or 5 years and for someone to hit me up, whatever, in China or Korea or wherever and be like, yo, I want you to come play. It's very unreal, but I guess that's the power of like, like one, it's the power of the internet for sure. It's the power of a strong brand and just like consistency for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like we've stayed consistent since day one. There's been a lot of times where, like people have tried to change us and, like, yo, you guys should go in this direction or you guys should do what they're doing. But we've noticed a lot of these different, whatever sounds and things become very trendy and sometimes they fall off. So even going back to like, Low End and Brain Feeder, like, we're like the, I guess, babies of them. You know what I'm saying? Like we were inspired by Low End, Brain Feeder, Stone's Throw, all these different crews that were doing amazing things. So it's amazing to be even put in the same conversation in the same like, group as these amazing crews who have created this worldwide brand, this worldwide sound. And yeah, just to be in that conversation is like amazing,
Yeah, and speaking of like, the Soulection sound, it's like very eclectic, but yet refined enough to have like its own genre. How would you describe the sound?
I would say it's like this fusion of soul, R&B, electronic, hip hop, like house, all kind of like rolled in one thing. You know what I'm saying? Like in one song, you might hear 5 different genres. And I feel like, like we kind of, our main purpose when we first started Soulection was to fill this void in music, you know what I'm saying? Because there were all these amazing artists around the world that made beats on their laptop in their bedrooms, you know what I'm saying? Like amazing beats, amazing music, amazing artists. So for us, we're like, yo, like what can we do to help these artists be heard and spread this sound? Because this is an amazing sound. And we felt like if more people knew about it, that like everything would change, you know what I'm saying? And
Definitely.
That's kind of what's happening, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's artists that we've worked with that are now nominated for Grammys this year and last year, and they're winning Grammys, and they're, making these multi-platinum albums, and they're killing it, you know what I'm saying? So it's amazing to see, like, these artists rise from this sound that we, kind of help push,
Yeah. I mean, and to me, it's like the sound is very heavily influenced by like 90s R&B, and I feel like you guys are on the forefront of like the resurgence of R&B as far as production goes and stuff like that. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I always feel that 90s, 2000s R&B, even like 80s stuff or whatever, like that era is music that's timeless. That era is music that will never die. So for us, that's like our motto. Like, yo, we want to push and create and put out timeless music because that's the sound that lasts a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
There's song Aaliyah, Genuine, whatever. Like, want to say R. Kelly. But no, there's like a lot of artists that make this music that will last forever. You know what I'm saying? And there's also artists that make music that lasts a week. So we're trying to, push this sound and this idea of like timeless, infinite music straight up. Yeah.
Are there ever moments like where you get like surprised, where you might throw like a deep cut on, where you're like, I don't know if this is gonna resonate with the crowd, but then they like react to it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with us, like, that's one of the main special things about what we do is like our supporters are like super well educated, one, and two, they trust us. You know what I'm saying? So they trust that we have good taste, and they trust that we know like what needs to be heard. So most of the music that we play, especially on Soulection Radio, you know what I'm saying? Like everything that Joe plays, people trust that like, yo, if I don't know this, I probably should know this. And they're just drawn to it, and they go on and they do their own research and they dig in to figure out like, yo, who's this artist? Why is Joe playing it? Why are they playing it at the shows? I need to do my research. And then they fall into this hole and they fall in love with the artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's really special to educate, like as a DJ, whatever you're doing, when it comes to music, it's always good to educate the people, in some way.
And when it comes to spreading that music to like a bigger audience, I think there's like no bigger platform at this point than like a Beats One, Apple Music kind of deal.
Very true.
And I remember when that first kind of slate of programming came back, it was like, it was all of these A-list people, and then there's Soulection Radio thrown in there, right?
Yeah.
Like what was that? How did that deal come about? In the sense of like, it's obviously surreal, like you said, it's all unreal at this point. But it's like, how is it like, does Apple contact you and you guys are like, okay, are we ready? Are we ready to literally go global in the sense of like 190 countries at the same time?
That's real. I mean, we've had the radio show, whatever, like 4 or 5 years prior to that, and each year, I kid you not, it was growing to another level. So started at Cal State Long Beach, and then moved to, I think it was Red Bull after that, which is like a big jump, you know what I'm saying? And then from Red Bull, moved to Rent FM, which is also a big jump, because that's like
major,
you know what I'm saying? So every year or two, it would just get bigger and bigger, and we realized that there was a lot of people in the industry that knew about Soulection Radio. Like, there would be these meetings going on that we didn't know about, and people are saying like, yo, like this is next. This is what's, like, this is how we need to like dig for music. You know what I'm saying? There's all these different, I guess, like A&R, some labels that would listen to Soulection Radio and find these artists, and that was their way in. So, I mean, for us, it was like, it was, yes, like a big surprise, but I feel like it was a natural, organic growth. So when we got the call, like, one, we couldn't say anything about it, obviously, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we want you guys to be a part of this thing. There's going to be some amazing people that are also part of this thing. Are you down? Of course we're down, you know what I'm saying? And when it launched and we saw everybody that was a part of it, we were like, damn, this is like Pharrell, Drake,
Jaden Smith,
like Zalo, like all these people were like, damn, like, I guess it was like validation that, there is still like this space for like crews and people and brands like us, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the very end of the day, when it comes to things like Beats One and Apple Music, there may be some politics and there may be like some hype, but at the very end of it, it's like, yo, they really care about music, and they saw us as breaking a lot of sounds and breaking a lot of vibes, and like artists, and they saw that and they recognized it, and they were like, yo, we need you a part of this, So very special time for sure. Yeah.
I think you raised a really good point where it's like A&Rs listen to those playlists, and I think like we play Soulection all the time in the office too. Shout out to the office DJs. But like I think like there's been a lot of ink spilled too, and there's been a lot of people that have talked about this, like the role of like the playlist curator and the people that are like now kind of the tastemakers in music. Do you think, how have you guys like taken that responsibility? How do you find that you've like, how do you like accept the responsibility of being the guys that are presenting this music to such a huge audience now?
I mean, I feel like at this point it's like a very natural subconscious, whatever you want to call it, like we're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have. There's no going back. There's no like, I don't want to do this today. You know what I'm saying? Or like, I don't feel like doing this. Like, it's like a very natural thing for us. Prime example, like when I'm traveling in these different places, and let's say I'm in Hawaii and I get in the car in Hawaii with some friends or with the promoter, and they're playing something. I'm like, yo, what is this? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just me being like a natural one. I'm a huge fan of music, you know what I'm saying? And two, like, I do have this platform, Soulection, to share whatever I'm hearing on a larger scale. So there's like this like love for art, and there's this like business side of it. And when I hear music, these things are kind of working side by side, you know what I'm saying? So it's
up against each other.
Yeah. So it's like, cool, like, yo, whatever you're playing, this is crazy. I need to know what it is. And that's when I go and I dig and I do my research and figure out, okay, who's this artist? Are they known? Are they signed? Are they new? Whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, it's just this like natural thing at this point when it comes to like finding artists and like listening, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, I'm a fan of music for like so many reasons, you know? So.
And from the business side of things, I think that one of the things I read about, I think it was a Forbes profile of your guys' entire, yeah, it's really good actually. Major shout out to them for that, because I think they addressed a lot of the different aspects of it, from like I said, the art in the park days up until even the role that merch plays and what you guys were doing at the time. Yeah. Because I think that a lot of people might not know that when you're getting started, that the merchandise aspect, the branding aspect was so crucial. Yeah. I think that people bought the hoodies and the t-shirts at the beginning, and they even tracked it down where they were saying that the people that were handling your merchandise, like the streetwear connection, was that you guys were doing it through Rome, who used to be run by the guys that started Obey.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So it's like there is sort of like some streetwear hustle in that DNA where you were like, no, it's not just that they're listening to it, you got to be wearing the hoodie.
Yeah, you have
know
to
what
be.
I mean?
Yeah.
And people wore that on their chests. And I think one of the most crucial little business aspects was that, you know, you guys managed to, I guess you guys started to almost franchised it. You turned the Sound of Tomorrow into like a branding thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that still something that you guys are pursuing? How has that been a part of the hustle?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere we go, you know, like all we can do is like spread music and spread love and culture and just try to like, you know, do what we do naturally. As far as the merch, you know, like I feel like our logo is very powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see it, if you don't know what it is, you're probably curious on what it is, and then, you know,
people image that.
Yeah, straight up. And like as you grow your brand or whatever it is, like that's something that just comes natural. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you're doing, people want to like support and show love in a very like physical way. You know what I'm saying? So for us, it was only natural, you know, like the first run of merch, I remember like there was a spot in San Diego. I don't know if they talked about this in the Forbes article, but our first batch of merch, I was like, yo, we need to do this. We don't know anybody. Like, I don't have any plugs on like distro or anything when it comes to merch. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna buy 100 shirts in different sizes. There's a spot in San Diego called T-shirt Mart, whatever.
Shout out to T-shirt Mart,
where they just do the screen press. Yeah. What I'm saying, like the it's like the heat press or something or whatever. So yeah, we straight up took the orders for the shirts, got the sizes, went in, got all the shirts made, went back to my apartment, packaged each shirt up one by one, and sent them out. And that was our first batch of merch, because we were like, yo, people want to rock this. You know what I'm saying? Like people care about it. So I designed a very basic T-shirt on Photoshop, logo on the back, logo on the front, Selection on the back, and in the text, and yeah, that was it. We just ran it. But I mean, for me and Joe at the time, we just felt like, yo, like we have to do this. Like now is the time. So to go from that to now, where people are getting the logo tattooed on them, like a lot of people. Like I mean, I have mine, Joe has his, but like I've seen people, bro, with like the big side joints and like the neck and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like so many people. There's probably over maybe like 200 people around the world with this tattoo, different sizes, different parts of their body, whatever. So yeah, man, I don't know. There's something very
collaborated
powerful
with like Stussy. You guys have like literally gone on these collaborative runs, and I think a lot of people kind of talk about like the streetwear philosophy of like, yo, put it on a t-shirt first. You have no idea where that t-shirt will go.
Yeah,
and that's an example because I think the Forbes article did talk about this, but there was that thing where it was like, you know, you start with the t-shirt and then the next thing you know is you can press albums. You can put out a physical product.
That's real.
And it is real because like you're saying, like there's nothing better than them actually being able to reach out and touch it and be like, okay, this is what Soulection does. It's not just a podcast or a radio thing.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, when you start anything or any brand, it's really hard to scale your fans and supporters. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we can do it with the internet now and like social media. We can see how many followers we have or whatever to kind of scale it, but those followers don't equal real supporters. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's super easy to like click a follow button. You know what I'm saying? But it takes more to like add the cart, put in your cart. You know what I'm saying? And actually get a product and put the product on. Like that's like much deeper. You know what I'm saying? So once we started selling merch, it was like, all right, cool. Like, damn, this is real. Like, I learned a lot about the world when we shipped out those first packages. I'm like, yo, like there's so many places that we were shipping to that I've never heard of in the world. You know what I'm saying? And it's dope and amazing and super flattering and love to see these people in this super small, super tiny town in the middle of whatever, like South Africa or Sweden or whatever.
It must be like the best form of like market research to be like,
trippy.
Yo, they fuck with us in South Africa.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like the small town, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the small town that you can't pronounce. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, like how did they find this? And you know, like they're really willing to spend their money on this t-shirt or this hoodie just so they can wear this around their small town. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's like crazy love. And again, that's something that like, you know, we had no idea when we first started, when I first met Joe, that it would reach this and it would get to this point. And we're just trying to, you know, we're trying to reach more small towns. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of that one person buying a t-shirt in a small town that we can't pronounce, we're trying to perform in that small town that we can't pronounce. You know what I'm saying? And like,
because you know that there's people there that vibe with it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. So we're just trying to keep pushing in that direction for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and having like, you know, this international success, but still being able to come back to the West Coast and sell out shows. Like, you know, like how's that? And then also like, you know, how do you see like the music scene in the West Coast changing since you guys first started?
I mean, personally, I actually love where like, you know, soul and R&B is headed. You know, like some of my favorite artists and some artists that we work with are doing amazing things. They're touring, you know, like you look at like SZA, Daniel Caesar, all these artists are killing it, Grammy nominated, which means people are actually recognizing them as amazing artists just like we did and just like we like do still, you know what I'm saying? And yeah. I don't know, I mean, I think it's just cool to know that like music is headed back in this like positive, good, soulful direction. You know what I'm saying? Like it's I don't know. I feel like it's definitely needed right now. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of positive and soulful, major shout out to Brent Fiatz, who I discovered through you guys as well.
Same Brent.
A Grammy nod yesterday, I think. Whenever they announced that.
Brent, who else? Goling for Crew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
These are all people that I think literally have kind of either, you know, done their guest spots with you guys, or they've kind of been on the playlist.
Yeah, for sure.
It must be validating, right? Like it kind of feels like, yep, we kind of called it. In a sense.
Yeah, I mean, or just like knowing, like, yo, like, you know, it's just good to see them put on this much larger platform. You know what I'm saying? We do our thing and we do our duty. You know what I'm saying? But like the Grammys is like another level. You know what I'm saying? So to work with these artists and to have these artists on a radio show and have these artists perform, and then 6 months later, even much shorter times, they're nominated for Grammys and they're on TV, on all these different, you know, like TV spots and all that. It's amazing. You know, like we're happy for them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're still part of our family. You know what I'm saying? And they still are sharing Soulection everywhere they go. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, we're all like moving in this direction together when it comes to like, you know, pushing the sound, I guess you would say.
And as a successful startup, it's almost like we always ask the startup be people, something along this lines. But like, what was like sort of the biggest challenge when you were starting out? What was is it tough to sell people on the idea of Soulection, or was it more like putting everything together, or was it finding the people?
When we started, actually, we didn't have many challenges when we started, because I guess for the first 2, 3, even 4 years, it was still like, I don't know, it was just like super DIY, organic, like, nobody could like tell us anything because we don't care what you have to say, because this is our shit, and like, we're just gonna do it this way, I think around the 4 or 5 year mark, like when shit started getting big and like when we really started to like grow, it's like, all right, cool, like, like we need to protect this brand, you know what I'm saying? Because I think around that time we started to see a lot of people try to like, abuse the logo.
Predators.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like abuse the brand, abuse our name, you know what I'm saying? Like all this weird shit was going on. It's like, all right, cool. Like now we have to take shit serious. Now we have to lawyer up. Now we have to, you know what I'm saying? Like do all these different things that we had no idea about, because for the first 3, 4 years, it was still this fun, natural thing, which it still is. But
now you just have lawyers.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it gets to the point where it's like, like we have to be smart and we have to be business minded. So I think that was the like hardest thing, like the whole like transition from this like, fun homie family collective, whatever you want to call it, to a business, to a brand, and like, it's just like
locking it down,
but still trying to keep it fun and still trying to keep it organic and family based. You know what I'm saying? So that was the era. Yeah, that was a fun, interesting transition for sure.
And we always kind of like to try and ask, like, since everybody's hindsight gets 20/20, like we usually like to ask and close on this note where it's like, if you could go back and offer yourself one piece of advice when Soulection was just getting off the ground, to make things either a little bit easier or to kind of like, I don't know, if you could give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? Like yourself in the past.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've made a lot of right decisions. I've made a lot of right decisions. I don't really have any regrets or anything I would really change. Honestly, I think, just going back to the business, like, I feel like we should have, or I would have told myself to like, get shit straight from day one so you're not backtracking 3 years later. You know what I'm saying? Not in a bad or negative way, but just like, like be on top of your shit. Just be
lawyer up.
It was just like, like get on it, be organized, make sure, whatever, just do it right from the beginning instead of trying to do it, like years down the line. You know what I'm saying? For sure. So totally. Yeah, it just would have made things a little easier. You know what I'm saying? Not that they're hard, but it would have made things flow. And that time where people were trying to like abuse us and all this stuff, that wouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we would have had the knowledge to like, you can't do this and this is why, or like whatever, straight up. Just like no backtracking.
Word.
So yeah, man.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, man. And people can actually, if our listeners in New York or anybody that's in New York, they can actually catch you, right? You have a monthly residence.
Yeah, it's usually every fourth Thursday unless there's a holiday. But yeah, if you check out my Instagram or my website, you'll find everything at Andre Power. Straight up. Instagram at Andre Power, Twitter at Andre Power, Facebook Andre Power, Google Andre Power.
Power.
Andre Power everywhere. You can find it.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Really.
Thank you, bro.
Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, appreciate it.